Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott. I have used and reviewed a lot of Freewell's different filters and filter systems over the past 6-7 years, something like that. They are back with yet another new filter system, and this is a locking VND system. Now, unlike some previous systems, this is really all about circular filters, not square filters. And as a result, it's a little bit more of a compact system. It's going to be a little bit easier to bring along if you are just dealing with lenses that have screw-in filters. Now, obviously, VNDs are most often going to be used for those of you that shoot video, particularly to be able to control the amount of light coming in and so that you can match shutter speed with what you're looking for as far as your frame rate on your actual footage. So I'm going to take a quick look at it at that. However, for me, there's also always the consideration of using filters like this, and particularly this kit. It comes with both the VND, but then also an ND32 filter to throw over the top of that, which then allows, rather than going up to 6 stops, to allow you to go all the way up to 10 stops and even a bit beyond, as we're going to see. And so I'm going to look at how it works for actually shooting long exposures as well. So we'll take a quick look at the system, see how it works, and then we're going to pack up and go out and see how it works for actually shooting in the field. And at the end of the video, I'll give you a little bit of feedback after having used the filters for a while at what I think works, what I think doesn't work so well. So let's dive in, let's take a look. Okay, before I go into the field to actually test the system, let's take a quick look on how to actually do it. So I'm going to, for these tests today, I'm going to be using the Schneider Kreuznachs LK Samyang 14 to 24 millimeter f2.8. This is a great wide angle zoom. Now, it has a 77 millimeter rather than 82 millimeter front filter thread. So in this case, I'm going to be using this adapter from Freewell that is a 77 millimeter to 82 millimeter. And so first thing I'm going to do is just going to screw that onto the filter threads, get it into place nice and tight. From there, it's a matter of getting into one of these very nice cases and taking out the actual adapter here. So I'm simply going to pinch in on the sides to go onto that adapter, just that simple. In this case, I'm going to rotate it and so it is top facing and so I can actually see. So you have the option now of just sliding this, and that allows you to set the various Indeed levels, and then you can adjust the whole filter to affect the amount of polarization on that. And so it's a two-stage process there. You can also add on other filters on top. For example, their ND32 filter. You just align the white line with this for the best seamless fit. So you just squeeze that in, put it on, and now you can rotate that together and you can get the ND32 effect. And so now you can do variable all the way up to 10 stops instead of moving up to just 6 stops. Now you also have the option of using their front cap here, and so you have some protection. This also has an NFC code built right into it, so if you tap your phone on that, it will actually take you to instructions and a clever additional step. You do have the option of adding on other filters. For example, they have their snow mist filter, other mist filters that you can add on there. As always, the presentation on Freewell filters is top notch. I like the little addition here that if you pull up on this strap, it helps to pull the filter up for easy access, and also so you're not getting fingerprints on there trying to reach down in for it. So the packaging is great, but is the filter any good? Let's go out and find out. All right, so I'm at the setting where I am going to do a little bit of shooting of the water that's coming down over these rocks underneath these bridges. Now I'm going to be doing more traditional photography, long exposure here, just to demonstrate the effectiveness of the filters in terms of controlling the amount of time you can have in your shutter speed. But then also we're going to be taking a look at if detail holds up, if color balance and consistency holds up, some of those other key things of evaluating actual filter performance. The truth of the matter is that once you have the filters mounted, they're pretty easy to operate. The system works as far as the connection, and beyond that, really what it boils down to is the performance of the actual filters themselves. So let's check out and see how they do. All right, this is the post-shooting wrap-up here. So I have been out, I have shot video, I have shot stills, long exposure for photography, and I have then gone through the images and the clips to assess how everything worked in the field. And so I have made some notes here about my observations having actually used the filter set. So first of all, in terms of just using it, I will say that once you got everything mounted, the system moves easily. And so as per usual, Freewell impresses me very often with their engineering on things, and it seems like they have done a good job once again of creating a system that is very usable. There's always a tiny bit of a learning curve just as you learn to align things and put things in the right place, but once you get it figured out, everything moves as it should. I also appreciate the fact that it's pretty easy to, particularly if you're using it on the video end of things. As you can see here, I'm making adjustments until I get to the shutter speed that I wanted. Before I shot this clip, I wanted to shoot 4K 60, and so I wanted to match the shutter speed at 1/60th of a second to get nice smooth footage. And so you can see in rotating that, getting to where I wanted it, and then I was able to move into the clip and got the results that I wanted. So all good on that front. So in terms of using the filter set, once you learn how to use it, you get it set up, it's a great package. And as noted in our intro, it's quite small and compact, so it's not hard to bring along, particularly if you're just kind of bringing along the main pieces for it. How about some things that I like? First of all, I was very impressed with the color fastness. My early experience with VND filters, which stands for variable neutral density, was not great in terms of the overall color consistency. I found like the polarizing effect was sometimes inconsistent, and thus the color balance wasn't always great. Clearly things have improved, and these are very good on that front, very good color fastness, and so that there really wasn't a difference in the color balance shooting without a filter and then with the filter attached. I got very similar results. I also found that I was pleasantly surprised with the overall sharpness. Again, I've not ever been a fan of VND filters. A lot of the people that use VND filters are videographers, and in video, sharpness matters obviously, but not to the same degree as it does for photography, where you're going to be scrutinizing at 61 megapixels, which is way far and above anything you're going to see in 4K or even 8K for that matter. So sometimes I wasn't impressed by how sharpness held up as I moved towards heavier levels of the ND effect. And so in this case, sharpness held up fine, so I really like that, obviously. I also found that, as always, I'm impressed with Freewell's presentation. And I know that these days, a lot of times packaging has really gone more and more minimalistic for varying reasons, but I do appreciate the overall packaging and the look of Freewell filters, which just comes across to me as being really top-notch in terms of presentation. I also found that I got minimal vignetting even when I was stacking some of these filters on here. Now, to be fair, I'm using a lens with a 77 millimeter filter threads, and so that means I am stepping up a little bit to 82 millimeters. At the same time, however, as you can see here, even at 14 millimeters on the zoom, as I zoomed in and out, I saw a little bit of extra shading in the corners at 14 millimeters, but certainly nothing so heavy that I couldn't either ignore it or it not be a significant factor. And so good news on that front as well. I appreciate the fact that this particular system is not bulky. A lot of add-on filter systems, originally particularly you're talking about square filters, they were massive. But then even when you're talking about their own K2 filter set, it was bigger because it was still trying to accommodate doing some square filters as a part of the process as well. This is just focused on circular filters, and so as a byproduct, the system is, as I mentioned, nice and compact, easy to bring along. I also appreciate some of the fine details, like having the NFC in the front cap and then in the rear cap having that built-in white balance kit on that. It's just little details like that that just kind of elevate the product. And you may not use them every single time, but the times when you do use them, it's going to be like, yeah, I'm glad I have that along. As far as things that I don't like, really Freewell was the one that kind of debuted the whole idea of a magnetic filter system and then a magnetic VND filter system. So the fact that they have just completely abandoned magnetic for, their new locking thing, yeah, it works. So I like that. But at the same time, it's like, well, I mean, you guys pioneered the magnetic thing and now you're completely abandoning it. It just seemed a little bit odd to me. Maybe that's just me. I also find that obviously it's going to be a little bit less versatile than the K2 system because you don't have the ability to do any of the square filters. So that means you're not going to be able to do anything like a graduated ND filter, where you need to slide things down to get to the proper level for the horizon, for example. And that's fine if you're not looking to do that kind of thing. I do appreciate the fact that it is more focused, and particularly probably for video use, and then thus also it's going to be a lot cheaper. And that leads us to our final section on conclusion. I looked up the pricing on all of this, and so they have two main kit options. And so they have the first, which is the lesser kit, which they call the all-day kit. It's going to retail for about $250, and that basically includes pretty much everything that I've demonstrated outside of any kind of mist filter being included. So it's a pretty complete kit. It's got both the ND32, it's got the Vari-ND, it's got, you know, all the various attachment things that I've shown. And so it's a pretty comprehensive kit for $250. And I will note that that's half the price of the base K2 kit. So feels pretty reasonable there. And then they have like what they call the mega kit for $350 and that is basically adding on both a glow and then a snow mist filter. And so only buy that kit really if you're looking for some of those mist filters, because the base filters themselves, they cost about $80 if you're wanting to buy other individual filters, be they mist filters or other type ND filters. You do have those options there. And so basically what you're getting is a discount on those two mist type filters. But that only makes sense if you really want both of those filters. Otherwise, I would say go with the base kit and add on any kind of individual filter that you might want. At the end of the day, I am impressed by the quality of the filters in terms of the performance. The kit works just fine. I mean, there's lots of options out there for filters these days. And so, I mean, it must be a challenge to be a filter maker to, you know, kind of make yourself stand out from the crowd. And so at least they are continuing to innovate and they're trying some new things. And it works. And so you're gonna have to determine for yourself whether or not the way that this works is what you're looking for. It does work, it produces good results. Of course, there's lots of other kits that also produce good results as well, but it's always great to have more options. If you want more information, look in the description down below and you can find linkage to going and looking at the Freewell filter kits and also some purchase links there if you'd like to purchase for yourself. As always, thanks for watching, have a great day, and let the light in.